Okay, so what we're going to do today is start a new project. This is going to be project 9. I just used my project seed file to do that. Make sure I'm recording here. And we're going to use a design I found on the web for an Adirondack chair and possibly a table, but we're going to start with the Adirondack chair, which is a little more detailed, and we've got some simple parts and some more complicated parts. We've got this part, for instance, which is this bottom leg. You can see it right here. It's part number A. It's got some curved. It's where our seat slats follow, right around our edge. It's what rests on the ground, and it's in there at it's like a 30-degree angle. Hopefully I can try to find a better copy of this, but we can see most of the dimensions. I think I can read them. And we're gonna use a little bit of raster technology to kind of help us out with this. So let's go ahead and get started with our MicroStation. First of all, go Settings, Design File, Working Units. Make sure I'm working in inches. This is actually listed in fractional, so we'll go to a 1/16 of an inch, should be enough. If not, we can go back and change it later. And we're going to start with that part A, just to see how it works. So we'll go to our level manager, right click, we're going to say new, and we're going to call this a part. We'll just call it part A. There we go. Make that our active level. You'll notice we're working in a 3D model, and what I want to do is I want to rotate this view to front. Actually, no, I'm going to keep it in top view, and we'll just work from there. Now if we go to our raster manager, I'm going to go and attach my raster manager of that sheet that we just looked at. Should be right here, Adirondack, and I'm just going to say attach it, and we'll do a fit view. So there's our actual drawing. Now what we can do is we can scale this up so that we can actually draw right on top of it. Now it says that this line right here is 33 3/4 inches from point to point, this point to this point. If I take a line and I draw it from this point, let's make it a little thicker so you can see it better, and I'll make it red. We're coming right across to this point. And what we're going to say is that dimension should be 33 3/4. If we actually measure the length of that line, it's 2 5/16 inches. Okay. So what I need is a ratio to scale this up to make that line equal 33 3/4. What would happen if I draw a line and I type in 33 space 3/4 divided by 2 space 5/16. 14 5/8. It should be our multiplier. And 5. So we'll just leave that there. Go to our calculator real quickly. Say 5 divided by 8 equals, so it's going to be 14.625. Let's just try this. So if I go back to this raster image and I scale that by a factor of 14.625 and left click on the screen, we'll do a fit view. You can see there's the line I drew previously. Now if I zoom in on this and draw another line from this point to this point, Oops. You can see down in the bottom in my XYZ coordinates, I'm pretty close to 33 and 15. It says 15/16, but let's see see if I can get it to hit 3/4. Or I'll just type in 33.75. So I'm pretty much to scale right there. So what we can do now is actually use this as a heads-up digitizing exercise. Now remember, it's in top view. Whoops, sorry, actually deleted it. I'm always doing that because it happens to be still selected. I'm in part A. I'm just going to take my line and I'm going to start tracing this and using some of the dimensions as much as I can. Now make sure that when you do this, we don't need, we'll join elements later as a shape because we need to do something up here on this little curved portion. So I'm going to start right up here on the top, right there. We know that that line is 2 inches long, so I'm going to hit the space bar to go into distance angle. 2 inches by 145 is the degrees. Whoops, goes the opposite way, so I need to type in negative 145 and hit V. And this next one, hit tab, is 2 inches. This one is 162, so I'm going to say negative 162. Maybe that one's positive, 162. I don't know what the opposite of that is, but if it's 180, let's just start another line and kind of, we'll fudge it here a little bit. Tab, 2 inches. It says it's like 105. So I'm just going to pop that right in there. It'll work fine. This is our chair. So hit the V key, space bar to go to XYZ, and then just go straight down 2 inches. And now we're going to go 33.75. Oops. Not quite that far, do we? So we have to angle it up. So we'll just bring it over until we get to that point. And then I'm going to hit the space bar again to go into distance angle. We're going to type in 3.5. Let's see what that angle is. So I'm just going to wing it. We got the right distance and we'll just trace that. 1.5 inches up, so we just say 1.5. And we got a little curve piece here we'll put in later. And if I know the height of this is supposed to be 5 1/4, so I'm just going to copy this line up 5.25 inches. And then we'll use our extend line tool to just shorten this here. And actually I can just key it out to 3.5. So now we've got these other lines, and what we'll use is our Bezier curve lines. We can use our B-spline curve. We'll kind of zoom in on this, and what we want to do is kind of snap and just follow this contour as best we can. If I hit Q, I can get out of the AccuDraw, so it gives me a little bit more control. And then when it snaps up here, I'll just left click and then right click. So it gives me that nice smooth line. Same thing over here, we're just going to let it snap to this end point, Still staying out of the AccuDraw, we're going to go right down onto the bottom. It looks like a straight line there, so we'll come over here. And again, I'm just this is just, imagine taking your table saw and just cutting that. I'm just going to extend it up a little bit further here. Go back to our Smart Line tool, just extend this across, and then we'll trim that out using this tool. So basically we've got our shape now that we need to make into a complex shape. Right now we're just a series of line segments, so we're going to go to our 6-3, create complex shape. This is in a 2D element, and we can set this to automatic, so it's just going to automatically find endpoints. So I left click on one line, just move my mouse over to the left side and just keep left clicking, and you see how everything connects into a solid shape. And I just left click one more time, and now that whole thing is a shape. So if I actually bring this, I can just move this over here, and we'll rotate this to an isometric. And the first thing I want to do is I want to rotate this shape up. So I'm going to rotate this by 2 points. Just left click on this shape, let it snap. Oh, got to turn on my AccuDraw again so we can see our compass. So I want to be able to see the XYZ coordinates. Now I hit S for side, and we'll just bring that straight up. So basically we just have a 2D shape. If we actually look at this as a image, we see that we just have a two-dimensional shape. So what we need to do now is extrude this. We're going to go to our solids modeling toolbox now, and under the R menu is our extrusion tool. The first one is just extrude solid by extrusion. So we can take any shape and we can extrude it orthogonally. And you notice the scale says XY is going to stay at 1, so it's not going to reduce anything. Just left click on any edge and pull this out. You'll see how that edge. Now the thickness of this board for part A is, I'm going to say 3/4 of an inch. So we'll just type in 0.75. And there we have our leg, and we'll angle that up when we get ready to move it. Now our next part, let's rotate this back to a top view. We have part B, a little simpler. It's like a 48-inch radius here in this block. So this is actually the back piece. If you look at the back of this arm, you see how this is this part right here. So it actually is a curved part, so that the back of your slats will actually fit into that curve. And it's setting here on an angle that's at about it's like about 60 degrees. Hopefully I can find a better resolution photograph of this image at some point. So, but this is just a flat piece of wood, and we're just going to draw it out. So let's go and create a level part B. Make it active. I'll change my color to something a little different now so that there's some difference in it. And this part is 23¼ inches long. So again, we can kind of trace this a little bit. I'm going to start right here. At this point, we'll go up 4.5. Ooh, that's not very good to scale, is it? Let's see if the 23¼0.25. That works. I wonder if there isn't a, because this looks like 5¼ here. So I'm actually gonna trace the image. I know we've often said we need to use the written dimensions, but I'm gonna check this out. Now it's a 48-inch radius curve on this thing. If I just draw an arc I'm just going to do this down here, hit the tilde key, and go 48. And we'll just do a half arc. Bring this down. Find the center point of it. I guess it doesn't really have one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just take my move tool, hit spacebar N, just grab it right here, and just move it until it hits that end point. I'm thinking that 48 is, pardon me while I redo this again, I screwed it up. I'm going to go tilde 48, make sure it's 180 degrees so it has a snap point right on the top, and I'm just going to let this snap to the top. So now, the reason I did that is to make sure it's centered. We're going to bring it straight down. So I'm starting to see if that's a 48-inch radius, that maybe that 4.5 inch was correct. So let's just pop that right in there, and then we'll trim this out. So we're going to have to do, we're doing a little bit of design on the fly. So I suspect that was drawn at 5.5, but it's actually a 4.5-inch line. So that's our back piece. We're going to make a shape out of that, same as we did before. Create complex shape, just left click on it, left click anywhere on the screen, and we're just going to move this out here. And this one actually will end up rotating 90 degrees this way. If we put this on a isometric view, what we're going to do is extrude this just like we did before. This one again is a 3/4 inch piece, so we'll just left click on it, pull it straight up, 0.75. There's our part B, which is our back slat, and I'm just going to move this over here. Once we get all our components together, then we'll work on getting this assembled into a, hopefully an Adirondack chair. So let's go to part C now. We're going to rotate this back to a top view. We'll see how this one scales out. Again, it starts at 23.25. So let's see if this one's a little more to scale. We'll stop down here. We got 1.5 inches, so we'll just say, whoops, make sure we create a level. This is going to be part C. Double click it, and we'll change our color. We'll use this brown color. So this is 1.5, 3.5. Ah, that's closer. 23.25. Down 3.5 and back 1.5. Okay. Now, just like we did before, this time it's a 38-inch radius. So we'll just start here, hit our tilde key, type in 38, swing at 180. Seems a little tight, but we'll see. We'll just pop that right onto the center point, and now we'll just move that right down, let's say about 2 3/8 inches, or 2 1/8. I'm going to say 2.125, 2 1/8 inch. That looks pretty close. Now we'll just trim this off, this to this. We're trimming the elements to their intersection. Nice. Okay. Make a shape out of it. This is actually what part C is this part right here. Sets right on top of this lip, and it's what our seat slats are going to set into right here. So you can see that the seat slats actually extend down below the back slats extend below the seat slats. So we'll take this, make our shape out of it. We'll bring it over, leaving this kind of rendered so it shows up. We know, rotate it to an isometric again. We'll rotate this 90 degrees. This could be done anytime, but I'll choose to do it now. And we'll extrude that one 3/4 of an inch, 0.75. All right. So what's next? Let's see. Let's rotate this back to a top view. A, B, C. Part D is our seat slats. Let's see, 1, so 31 3/4 inch wide. It says route all exposed edges with a 1/4 inch quarter round bit before assembling. So we're gonna actually take these parts before we assemble it, and we're gonna put a 1/4 inch fillet around the edges. Our slat D patterns, we have a couple of them. 1, 2, and 3 have some bevels on the edge. So we'll kind of assemble this as we need to. Looks like 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you can see how these angles work in here to make it work. Doesn't really give us any good dimensions here on these things other than the width. Says they're evenly spaced. Well, I guess we can scale them right off the drawing, although those are large scale. Number 1. Not really seeing the distance on those, but we can always shrink them or make them bigger later on. So let's just we'll wing it for right now. I'm gonna just kind of measure that distance. We'll take our line tool and just draw a line right there, 2 and an 1/8. Let's try this one. It looks like they're 2-inch slats, 3/4 of an inch thick. And the width, we can kind of make whatever we want. We know that the chair is 31 3/4 inch is wide. If we look at two and a half inches on the back, yeah, we'll just make these slats 2 inches. So we can actually do these. I'm trying to figure what the width would be. If I know the width of my arms are 5 1/4, and those are going to set inside. So let's go with 30-inch slats for right now. So I'm going to go to isometric. I'm going to change my color to yellow and make a level for part D. We'll make it active. And we'll just come over here. And we're going to create a slat that is 30 inches. Seems, yeah, we'll go 30 inches for now, and then we'll shorten them if we need to later, by 2 inches by 0.75. Okay, now I'm going to rotate this a little differently. We'll go S for side. We're going to rotate this so it's straight up and down. So if I actually turn my top view, there's my slat. And 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are going to be straight. So the next two are going to have some angles at 108 degrees. So let's just make a copy of this. See if we can do an angle of 108 degrees. Hit the space bar, so down here we're in distance angle. And we're going to say, oh, if I move my mouse, see, I'm pretty close to 108 degrees. So if I just hit tab, say 108, let's try negative 108. I didn't connect those, so we'll just make a shape out of it. We'll mirror that to the other side. On a vertical axis, make copy, left click here, find the center point, and we're just going to do a cut solid all the way through this, hold down the control key, I can select multiple shapes. So there's our second slat. That's going to be for number 2, number 3, they're both 108. Oh, one's 108 and the other one's 112.5 degrees. Well, it's kind of special. Anyway, so we'll take this one and we're going to copy it. This time I'll say join elements. So we're going to say 108. This one will be minus, we say 112.5. Let's just check that. 112.5. So we'll do the same thing now. We're just going to cut this shape with this, this solid with this shape and this shape. So there's, and I'm putting these in the same order as these. Now down below we've got 112.5 degrees on this side and 112.5 degrees on that side. So we'll just copy this down here and here. Start a smart line. Minus 112.5. I'm always getting them backwards. 12.5 positive. And this one is negative 112.5. And we'll cut those. Go to our isometric views. We're going to take these slats and we'll roll them back down. Hit S for side. There we go. Make sure I see the AccuDraw compass here. And there's our slats. Now I'll go ahead and roll the edges on these at 1/4 inch as 0.25. So we want our top edges to have a little bit of a fillet on them. We don't want to get any splinters. And very good. I'm going to do these back sides on this piece. I'm going to leave the front straight because that's where our slats are going to be going up against, so we probably don't want to fillet that. Same on this one. We just want to do the edges here so that this is where our wood is going to attach, so we probably want to keep that straight. Now with this one, with the 2 legs, we're going to fillet the outside of both of these, so I won't fillet those pieces just yet, if at all. We'll kind of wait and see on that. So we have our slats, we have our top back, we have one leg, we have our bottom back brace. Let's see what is next. That was part D. Part E is our slats. Okay. A little different. These are tapered back slats. And you can see that they're 2 1/4 inches on the bottom. They're 3 1/4 inches on the top. So I think what I would do in this case, and we'll be a little bit creative, let's put it that way. I'm just going to trace this top slat, and it's got a curve on it, so we'll just start down here at the bottom, create a new level. This is part E. This will be the last part we do today, and then we'll finish it up on the next class, but we'll get these parts ready so that we can start putting them in the right spot. We're going to build a model, and then we're going to create multi-sheet drawings that we can expose each part separately and show it in the different views and put our dimensions on it. So we'll see how that works out. Let's give it a nice, let's go with this greenish blue color. I'm going to start right here at the bottom, and I'm going to go 2.25. Whoops. Hit the space bar. I want to be in XY coordinates here. That was an angle. 2.25. That's better. Now, I want to go straight up, and I don't know that well, 2.25, we're an inch off, so I'm going to go up this far, and then I want to go up a little further and over actually might be easier just to try and think of the best way to keep this centered. Let's do it this way. Let's draw a vertical line, just a temporary one, right up the center. And we're going to go 3 1/4 divided by 2. Just copy this over. 3.25 divided by 2 puts me right on that edge, but I'm just trying to be as accurate as I can. And I want to go above the top, because this actually has a little bit of a radius on it, and we'll try to figure that out as we go. I'm going to kind of eyeball this part of it anyway, because it's kind of a custom piece. And if I just spacebar N, I can put it right, let's go right to here. I'll hit V, roll it back 3.25. Oops, that's 2.25. Let's try 3.25. And we'll go all the way back down to the bottom. At least we have something that's kind of symmetrical. And we can delete this center line and that line. So we end up with this shape. Now, these are separated 3/8 of an inch apart. I space slats equally approximately 3/8 of an inch. So let's create a shape first of all. There we go. And this is 3 1/4. We'll just copy this. 3.25 plus 3/8. And we need to roll that in just a little bit. We use a 3-point rotation. This point, this point. I'm just going to left and right mouse button, hit O, and go back over. I'll hit O. /8. 3 points, yep. Left and right, O. I think I hit a 0. And then we'll do there's 3/8 right there. So we start to get this leaning. We're going to do the same thing. So we want an even line, 3/8 of an inch. So I'm just going to copy this one again. 3.25 plus 3/8. Do a rotate, 3 points, object, corner to this corner, bring it over here, O, go back, 3/8. Getting there. Okay, so now one more. This is half, and then once we get this, we'll mirror it to the other side. So that's our plan anyway. Copy this. 3.25 plus 3/8. Rotate. 3 points. Object first. First point is our hinge point. Come down here to our pivot point, snap here, hit O, and we'll go back 3/8. Okay, so we have our multiple objects. Let's change this just to a wireframe so we can see everything. And we've got a curve up here that we want to put in. And we can kind of make this whatever we want, but we want it all even, so I want to do our cutting on this first. So if I just take a circle, actually let's just use our smart line. I'm going to start right at the center point. Hit the tilde key. And I can see my arc. You can see this dotted line. So I'm going to bring it down until that pretty much matches. Swing this arc, hit tilde, come back straight up, I'll hit V, back here, enter, and connect it. Now I want to mirror that to the other side so that we end up with this little bit of a curve on the other side of this one. We'll boolean those two together in 2D. Yeah. Now, what we're going to do is find the Boolean difference between, and I want to keep the between this, 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 and this. Let go. Well, let me do that again. I didn't explain it very well. Boolean difference. I select the first item, hold down the control key, select the second, third, and fourth item. Let go of the control key, and then select the piece here. One worked. No, it didn't work. I could do. Oh, wait a minute. Messing myself up. Combine those two. I'll just say keep original just to see if it works. So it doesn't look like anything's happening, but if I actually take my delete tool and delete this, 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 and this, and this, there's my 4 slats. And we're going to take these, and actually before I mirror them to the bottom, let's square this up on the bottom edge. So I'm just going to draw a block down here, and I'm going to raise that up about 1/4 of an inch. 0.25. That's too much. Maybe 1/8 of an inch. 0.125. So I'm getting the bottoms of all of these. So when they actually curve, it'll give me a nice clean end. It'll do the same thing. Boolean difference. Whoops, wrong one. Just left click on each one individually. Get them cleaned up. And then we can delete this one, this one, this one. Just one line over the top of the other one, so I know it's a little confusing. And then what we're left with, alright, not a problem. One line right here that's didn't quite get it, so should be able to delete that and that. There we go. Now we got them nice and square. If we take these and mirror, I'm just taking the first three on the left because this one is our centerpiece, and we mirror those to the other side, finding the center point here. There's our back slats. We're going to take these and we're going to just move them over to the side. Go to an isometric view. And keeping those selected, I'll just take my extrusion tool, and those are going to be extruded. I think we're going to go a 1/2 inch on those. So just left click and go up 0.5. So we look at this as an illustration in modeling. There's our back slats, lower brace, upper brace, leg, seat slats. And let's see, what else? Let's do top view one more time. Let's hold it there for part one, and I think that's probably what we'll get through in our class on Monday, and then on our class on, if we get further, that's fine, but I'm going to record a separate video for the rest of the parts, which are pretty straightforward. We got one little support here that actually goes underneath the arm, so when you're resting your arm on that, it doesn't collapse on you. You need this little side support, so that's good. A board here, board there, everything else, and then we're just going to need to put it together as a separate piece, and we need to organize this. So this is where we get into starting to organize our sheet files, so that we're going to have multiple sheets that have our drawing on it, and then a model for a cover sheet, illustration. We'll put a whole package together, and we're actually going to put this together in the computer to make sure all our parts fit correctly. Kind of gets into that BIM modeling aspect of it. So we'll look at this again. Everything's pretty much to scale, but it gives you an idea how we can heads-up digitize drawings by rescaling them into our drawing file, and using those unknowns rather than doing these little squares. We can just kind of trace the lines and create our own little pieces on here. So we'll see how things fit when we start putting this together. All right, thanks.